Hey, what's up, my beautiful people? We are here to talk about the full moon at 17 degrees of Scorpio. So, this full moon, what is Scorpio, right? Um, you know, Scorpio is a water sign fixed, it rules the eighth house. This is the deep, dark stuff that, typically doesn't want to come out. It's the secrets. Scorpio is all about secrets. Scorpio knows you cannot bullshit a Scorpio. Okay, they can feel, they can sense, and if they're aligned with themselves, they will follow that feeling and they will stay tuned in to the nuances of the underscore of energy. Pluto rules Scorpio. So we're already having this very, intense plutonic energy with Pluto that has just gone retrograde. In the grand scheme, Pluto moves very, very slow. It's only moved literally 2 minutes since it's been retrograde. So it's still, a fairly intense energy. And with Jupiter and Saturn also getting ready to go retrograde, these energies are incredibly heightened. Okay. Now we have, let's go ahead and bring up the chart here so you can see what's going on. This is the first full moon with the nodes now in Gemini and Sagittarius. The south node at 29 degrees Sagittarius, that is the galactic center. So the galactic center is from 29 to roughly 27 degrees. So this is going to be a very significant time of a lot of even more awakening, aha moments, of epiphanies, of letting go at the very, very core, digging deeper into, the collective unconscious. There's so much unrest happening. And if you look back, if you think back to, every period of time where there's been a massive upheaval, if you will, I've been feeling a lot of energy that's very similar to the 60s right now. That was a massive evolution in a massive awakening when the hippies came around and the civil rights movement was going on, and all these the Million Man protests, all these things, we're starting to see evidence of that happening again. And I haven't calculated to see around that time where the nodes were, but I will look into that a little bit later. But here I want to look more into the other aspects, because we have some pretty important stuff going on here. So we have Venus at 21 degrees of Gemini, and now the North Node is in Gemini. So this Gemini energy is coming into dominance in our consciousness, our energetic field. So this is shifting from like a lot of emotional energy to a lot more cerebral energy. So the emotional energy has been sort of solidified, if you will. The belief systems that we have as a collective are being glued into place pretty much. You can see it everywhere with these different belief systems, like politically, economically, socially, with all these things that are rising to concern with, these belief systems of certain people that are in power, that are instilling these certain rules and regulations in the world, and others that are doing the exact opposite. It's becoming a dance between, control and rebellion. And this full moon, I feel, is going to have us really digging deep and looking at the deeper emotional aspects of, who we really are, and making it cerebral. Okay. So these emotions are being solidified, and really for the next year, for the rest of 2020, we're going to be, again, like I keep using this this analogy of picking teams for a dodgeball game, right? And this dodgeball game is going to be between the people that have these certain beliefs of let's stay in lockdown, like let's test, let's get vaccinated, let's have the powers that be control and run everything, to the other side, which is fuck that, you're not injecting me with poison, to let's open everything back up and create a natural herd immunity, to let's help the economy start again and flush out all this corruption. Now, I guess you could say, to a certain extent, corruption is sort of subjective, right? I mean, different, and especially right now, you know, people are with these belief systems. One side thinks the other side's crazy, and the other side thinks the other side's crazy. So I'm not here to dictate or determine or even say my opinion on what is crazy and what's not. This is simply just the energy that is really unfolding and uprooting from you know, our individual consciousness, you know, out into the open. Now, the degree of this full moon, 17 degrees. I want to read the energy of the numerology of this, because it's pretty apropos for what we have going on here. It says, the mountain abode of a hermit, a stronghold for secrets, hidden purposes, and inward streams to thrive and prevail. You live several lives in one, harboring the brightest, the darkest, the strangest, and the most wondrous worlds. Accustomed to the shadows and to meditation, prayer, and extraordinary discipline, remaining in here forever, absolutely uninvolved with surface affairs, no outer life whatsoever, but inwardly deep, intense, and overwhelmingly driven, following through on ancient vows, a grim, heavy, somber tone, the capacity for root transformation and extraordinary realization. Your central focus is to be with God in the silence steadfastly, and there is nothing else that comes even close to feeling all the way through on and true. So I really think that this illuminates the underlying energies for what's going on right now. There is so much, you know, Scorpio is about the darkness underneath. It brings the secrets to light and shining, or I should say, the full moon is shining light on the darkness within in the unconscious and bringing up at a whole nother level, especially with the nodes now, you know, in Gemini and Sagittarius. This is identifying, and you know, with Mercury conjunct the sun in Taurus, this is like really seeing it in our and we're feeling it in our physical body. It's coming over us. And of course, the moon, just within hours before it becomes exact, will be opposed to Uranus as well. So this could be bringing up unexpected stuff with the situation that we're all in. You know, we're all dealing with some major issue in our life. And while at the same time this is going on, the moon is going to be trine over to Neptune at 20 degrees of Pisces. And of course, Neptune is going to be square to Venus. So this is really, on one level, it's activating a deeper level of our intuitive and extrasensory perceptions, right? Neptune being in the third decan now of Pisces, it's sort of activating. It's almost like we got our master's degree, now we're in the PhD program, okay, of psychic capacity. And as we open up, and as we open up these energies in our consciousness, and as the world is going through this collective dark night of the soul, we are activating and coming into a deeper level of ourselves, of feeling and interpreting energy, of understanding at a deeper level what is really going on energetically with this dark night of the soul. We're all feeling each other's shit. So this is requiring us, as these energies come up and out, this is requiring us to solidify our emotional boundaries and to be solidified. So say, for example, you know, you're stuck in the house with your significant other that you're suddenly realizing, we don't really get along so well. We've both been working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And, you know, that has allowed us to have a good structure in our life. But now that we're stuck together, it's like we need a break from each other. We don't want to be around each other. So what is that trying to tell you? What is that trying to teach you? And, you know, we really have to be honest with ourselves. And, you know, the moon in Scorpio, whether we like it or not, it's going to come out. All right. It's going to purge out in one way or the other. So this requires brutal honesty. I know when I was going through some really heavy and deep 8th house transits, and I have Scorpio is my 8th house because I'm an Aries rising. You know, some of the things that came through were brutally, like it was really difficult to accept. Okay. And but now that we feel so strongly, so passionately, so deeply about everything that's going on, these energies are just going to be that much more palpable. So this is going to be good, really, really good for being honest in our emotional state, for opening up to new possibilities, to deepening our connection to our energetic transference or energetic interaction with other people as well as ourselves. Okay, so for example, if you get around somebody, or you're doing something, and you're around somebody new or somebody and you suddenly just feel drained and tired and kind of shitty, that's this Scorpio energy that's speaking to you, saying, hey, you need to look at this, because this is trying to teach you and show you that that shit ain't right now. Okay, we need to be honest with ourselves. And Venus is basically stationed to go retrograde. So with Venus being at such a strong, pungent aspect, and with the nodes now, just 8 degrees away, and with Venus square over to Neptune. Now Venus is also still trine over to Mars, which is really good. All right, this is on one side, this is like the humanitarian. We're really starting to feel and see, I got to take a fucking stand. I got to make shit happen. This is where we start to consider, the bigger cause, the bigger purpose of what's going on. So whether we decide to speak out on social media, or we decide to participate in some type of like activism, right? That is whatever we're feeling pulled towards, and it may come as a surprise or a shock at what sort of brings itself into your reality that you feel drawn to. Don't fight it. Whatever is coming up, do not fight it, because if you fight it, you're going to drive yourself batshit crazy. Okay, this is definitely a time to face things within yourself and within your reality that maybe you haven't had the courage or wherewithal to face, or you haven't had the honesty with yourself in order to feel, and process. Okay. Now, of course, we have Saturn that's going to be going retrograde, and Jupiter is going to be going retrograde here in the next week or so. And, that's going to be bringing back all this Capricornian, Capricorn is all about structures. It's all about government, and like authoritarian, configured systems in the world. This is the economic system, the monetary system, the healthcare system, all these systems. And, Jupiter has basically gone throughout the entire sign of Capricorn. Now it's going to go all the way back to, I believe it's 5 degrees, and then go back, direct. And it's going to be dancing with Pluto this whole time as well. So this, Jupiter, is like putting a spotlight, or it's like putting this part of our of life under a microscope. So this is going to have us looking over and rethinking, business ideas, or how we make money, the ways that we make money, the structure of our lives, the structure of business, even the structure of relationships, based on what we really desire and what we really want. So say, for example, everything that's going on in the world, and suddenly you and a family member, are disagreeing on what you believe or which way to go. Unfortunately, that could lead to, like a breaking apart of a relationship with a family member. Now, of course, we don't really want to see that happen, but this is how the game's going right now. This is what's going on. And this really is a game. Okay. This is, in my opinion, this is World War III. This is psycho-spiritual warfare, guys. Okay. So in order for us to come out for our best interest, I don't want to say win. Okay. Because a lot of times with this stuff, if playing the game, there is no winning. What we need to do is establish these solid emotional boundaries, which this full moon is going to give us the gift and ability to identify where and how to establish these emotional boundaries. But we have to look at it. We have to go deep enough. And the veil between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind is very, very thin during full moons. And this is allowing us to let go of old belief systems, of old situations, of old things and ideas that have been maybe holding us back, or that are maybe just outdated and they need to go. They're not serving any purpose anymore. And then as we clear that, then we're going to go back over and look, if there's animosity, or if there's anger or frustration, there is no winning it if you're using, argument to counter argument, really. Okay. Because right now when people are arguing, it's so intense that it's the emotion arguing, not the information, not the cerebral information. Now that's going to start to change here, because with the North Node in Gemini, that is bringing in much more debatable sort of mindset. We have to watch the emotional aspect of it, and that's where true leadership is going to start to show up and come into play. The leaders that are able to deal with people that are triggered without being triggered themselves. And I'll be honest, like watching Trump speak after all the attacks and all the shit going on, I admire that man for how much shit that he takes and he doesn't get triggered. Okay, not near as much as like any mortal human being would, right? I mean, for being attacked every single day, basically for years. It's pretty fascinating, and I use that as a guidepost for me, so that I'm able to observe if I'm getting attacked, to not feed that attack, not feed that energy, and to respond with as much love and compassion, but also boundaries that I can. So, when someone is talking shit or someone is coming at you in a certain way, that they're emotional, that their idea is limited. So there is no getting through to someone that's in that emotional place, right? There's two sides to this. There's the people that are a slave to their own emotions. And then there are people that have mastered their emotions and that allow and that control their emotional processes and respond as opposed to react. And what the job, or the mission, if you will, for those of us that have done the work to control their emotions, is to be able to go into that snake pit, if you will, and show love and show compassion in a solid, emotional boundary, solid kind of way, and not get triggered. It doesn't even matter what you say. Like someone asked me the other day, like, well, lots of people are dying from this thing, and why reopen stuff and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, well, just be careful of the information that you're consuming, okay? The only thing that I trust right now is if I see it in my own eyes, at least in this third dimensional reality, okay? I trust my heart, and I trust what I know about the work that I've done. I know about the human body. I understand a lot about a lot of things. Now, I'm not a professional. I'm not a PhD. I'm not a virologist. I'm not an immunologist. And I'll be first to acknowledge that. But a lot of this stuff is borderline common sense. And I've dealt with autoimmune issues. I've dealt with, different forms of addictions. I've dealt with and come through depression and anxiety. And I've seen and experienced firsthand the systems that are in place that are dysfunctional and destructive, and just bring you down this, rabbit hole of lateral transfer, is what I call it. The medical system is broken. It's not healing. It keeps you sick, because that's where they make the money. And I believe that paradigm is shifting now, as more and more people are waking up and realizing that we're being fucking poisoned from every direction. And there are so many layers to it that are coming up and coming out. Those layers are going to continue to evolve and unfolding as the year goes by. So from experience and from actually overcoming certain things on my own, that is where I draw my knowledge from. And I trust that, because I've been there and I've done that. Now, if I have not experienced something, then I pay attention and listen to what feels right. When you're listening to your heart, and when you're in control of your emotional state, what feels right is right for you and for me. You can just tell when certain people speak, or like it's the energy that's vibrating off, and we're going to be more attuned to this energy that people are vibrating. Like, when certain people speak, you're like, nah, something's off with that. That is your intuition speaking to you. And that intuition is how we're going to start to communicate much more dominantly, because there is so much misinformation out there. There's about, I'd say, 10 to 30% truth in everything that a lot of people are saying. So remember what you've learned through your experience, listen to your heart, and trust your intuition. and make decisions based on what feels right. And if you take that principle and you apply that to every situation and every experience in your life, especially around this time of the full moon, this is going to help you greatly to navigate this very confusing process, because right now we're sort of in this dark room, and you know, the full moon in Scorpio is basically like going into a dark room with a blindfold on and having to feel your way around to find the light, right? Or maybe there is like a flash or a flare, or you have a flashlight, but that only shows one little dot of light in a big room that is that is dark, and you're in there looking for something, may not even know what it is that you're looking for. So how do you know what to do? You know what to do by feeling your way through it and not relying on that one little circle of light that is, you know, sort of fleeting. I mean, you pay attention to that little spot of light, you could be in there for days, even, you know, weeks, months, looking for something. But if you feel your way through it, then you could feel your way over to the wall and flick the light, and boom, everything's lit up. Now, when everything gets lit up and you see everything in there, you have to be ready, you know, in control of your emotions, because when that light goes on, you're going to see shit that you haven't dealt with yet. You're going to see things that have been that unresolved, and you're going to have to resolve them. And this is going to require emotional strength and emotional grounding. Okay, so this is all about, you know, and that fear, there's a sort of like an underlying earthquakey kind of fear that's like, well, am I really ready to see this or feel this, or I don't know what's under there. Like the fear of the unknown is massive right now. So we have to sort of just say, fuck it, turn it on, and just go into it, because fear is false evidence appearing real. And when we finally realize that, and I think we have to go through a certain amount of fear within ourselves to really be able to honor this, because it is a difficult thing to face when, you know, if you've been living your entire life in fear, which many people have, you know, it's a shock to the system. This is where ego death comes into play. This is where Kundalini arising comes into play. But everybody's going through this anyways, okay? But when you're in it, the fear is already very pungent, already very powerful. So you have to learn to just let that be okay, all right? This is part of the growth process. And the more efficiently we can do this, and this is what the universe is teaching us right now. It's teaching us to be vulnerable. It's teaching us to face these shadow aspects of ourselves that we haven't looked at before, all right? It's teaching us, it's humbling us. But it's also, at the same time it's humbling us, it's saying, all right, now's the time. You need to fucking stand up, and you need to take charge and take responsibility of your life. No more being a victim. No more being the self-saboteur. No longer allowing that wounded child to run your fucking life. You need to stand in your fucking power and represent, like, what is the vision in your mind that you want? Is there cognitive dissonance between the vision you have in your mind and your reality that you're living? And why is that? That is what we're seeking out here at this full moon. That space between where we are and we want to be. And that space between is the scariest thing to, you know, to the scariest place to go. But all it is unknown. There's probably nothing there. But you don't know. So it's like you hide from it. We all do. We all do this. Okay? But it's important. This is requiring a massive amount of trust and faith in the process, and trust and faith in our own heart to guide us. Because once this stuff comes up and out, it will open up and activate our heart center, our heart chakra. And opening up and cracking that open can feel very similar to heartbreak, right? It has to break open, and even though it's expanding, you know, when it breaks open, it feels like heartbreak. It's still breaking, but that's okay, because it's going to happen really whether you like it or not. You can just slow it down and let it be a little less painful immediately, but more painful over a long period of time. And look, nobody wants to drag this out, you know, consciously, but again, it's about being around the right people, letting go of control, trusting in yourself, trusting in the universe, having faith, and walking forward in our life in faith. Now we have Black Moon Lilith here too, that is square over to Pluto and Jupiter, and that is pretty intense. And Lilith is retrograde here at 25 degrees of Aries. So with this square going on, all right, this is going to put a spotlight on our ego and our sexual nature of our ego. Okay. So this could mean like, you know, maybe we're bored, or maybe we're just, you know, we want attention. We want to feel good. We want some kind of validation, you know, because we're not getting it like we used to. So this is a lot of people, you know, seeking out like, you know, like immediate gratification because they're lonely or because they're feeling shitty. Like, it's just like, hold me, I'm lonely. But if you're seeking it out from this place, from this square aspect, this is just going to teach you another lesson. Okay. And this lesson is going to be vulnerable because being square to Pluto and Jupiter is highlighting the energy of Pluto, and Lilith can be one manipulative motherfucker, especially manipulating ourselves. So we may be in positions, or we maybe already have been moving in a direction where these energies, you know, have pulled us in, and now like, fuck, well, I can't back out of it. So if you can't back out of it, what are you going to do? If you're going to go into it, so because sometimes, look, you have to go into it. There's no other option. But when you go into it, if you go into it with a different mindset, and this comes back again too to solid emotional boundaries. Do you want to sacrifice your growth for some instant gratification? That's the danger here. So be careful with that. And of course, we have Chiron semi-sextile to Uranus. This is basically going on, and it's exact right now. This is basically going on for pretty much like all year. This is like, you know, things coming in unexpectedly to activate this vulnerability within us. It's a good thing, okay, to purge it out, but but this is that constant feeling of like there's an earthquake underneath this, and it's not fun. It's not comfortable. All right. Now we also have Mercury and the Sun semi-sextile to Venus, which is a really good sign. This is all about, you know, really grounding into this drive, this desire to get what we want. Okay, now, but that begs the deeper question of what is it that we want, and is what we want healthy? Is it good for us? Okay, but with Mars and Aquarius here, you know, trining the North Node and Venus, this is saying that, you know, our Mars, our divine masculine, going into our destiny. This is having that passionate drive. Like, okay, look, I've decided that I'm going to join with this political activist group, and then you go to some political activist rally, and you meet some amazing, you know, potential partner. Now, when you meet in circumstances like this, again, especially because Venus is square to Neptune, it's like, okay, you guys are meeting under these unique circumstances that are intense, they're passionate, you know, it could be, you know, hot, heavy, and amazing, but is that the only one thing you guys have in common? You need, if it's hot and it's heavy and you feel like it's destined, which it may right now, still take your time with it. Okay, be careful, because guaranteed there's something underneath there that you don't know. Like, you know, you guys can have the same belief systems, but then, you know, you get together and you hang out, you find out they smoke meth, or they're a crackhead, or, you know, like they have some kind of secret, you know, underneath all that, that is like, whoa, I can't hang with this. Like, this ain't me. Okay. So we have a lot of growth potentiating energy, a lot of really, we're digging deep here. We're digging deep in our fields, so to speak, but the fields are coming up to be, and they're being transmuted into cerebral energy, like the beliefs. Now we have these beliefs and these and this drive to go towards these beliefs. Now we're like, I want to go get it out there. I need to let people know what I feel. I need to, like, how, like, wanting to shake people. Like, do you not fucking see this? What is wrong with you? And I'll tell you right now, that is not the answer. That is not going to get you anywhere. If you're trying to get other people especially that see things other than you right now, you're just going to get yourself in a whirlwind of dense energy and shit and headaches and probably problems, because, you know, right now we're seeing fights and people getting pepper sprayed and all kinds of crazy shit going on. The better, more efficient way to do this, that's self-loving, is to find a passionate way that is you know, like a system that you can use to attract more people that have the same belief system as you, like me doing this, right? Getting these reports out to you and creating my opportunity community, which I highly recommend you check out. Go to my website, spiritualbodybuilder.com, and check out my opportunity community, because it's just awesome. We're working through so much stuff, and we're really building a beautiful community of like-minded people, and a lot of people just overcoming things and identifying their true authentic power and being vulnerable, because really power is vulnerability, right? So anyways, you find this way that you want to get out there that could, who knows, could be a new business idea, right? Or, you know, you find other people that you want to network with that, you know, like you agree with, and you work together to, you know, create meetups or to create, you know, gatherings to go speak your truth with a group, with a community. This is about community building. This is about loving yourself and loving the people that you resonate with, to send a greater message to the whole. If you're going out there and just trying to and just yelling and bitching at people, or going online and being a troll and talking shit, that is not going to work. That is the shadow side of this energy. Okay. So stand in your truth, do it in a mature and self-loving way. And I promise you that you're going to discover this next chapter, because look, all this stuff going on in the world is developing this next evolution of who we are, this next karmic chapter of our life, to where we're going, what we stand for, and who we are, and how we're going to influence the world. It's a very humanitarian energy as well. Okay, so I hope this information helps. If it does, and if you resonate with it, please like, share, and subscribe, and definitely follow me on Instagram, social media, spiritual_bodybuilder. Go to my website if you would like a reading for me, or if you're interested in coaching, or for the opportunity community in my 4-week transformational protocol that is still for free. By the end of the week, it will not be. So, you know, jump on that while you can right now. It's going to go up to $47. And I love you guys very much. And thank you so much for your support and for listening. And also leave a comment down below if you're feeling this. And until next video, I'll see you guys later. Namaste.